All right, let's start with a definition. A definition. I'll read it actually from my, do you see my composition book? Like,
I see that. That is cute.
I know the boys got it for me. Let's actually define now what body acceptance is, because some people don't really understand or know. So body acceptance, the actual definition, is accepting one's body regardless of not being able to completely satisfied of all aspects of it.
Yeah.
I think I left out a word there, but not being completely satisfied with all aspects of it.
Yeah.
So in other words, meaning you are still accepting your body and loving your body, even though that there's parts or pieces of it that you're really not enjoying or liking.
Yeah, exactly. It's like accepting one's body regardless of being completely satisfied or not, and I think that's a big thing because our brains are always going to be like questioning ourselves. I think it's just human nature to constantly be like, this is wrong, whatever. And it's just like accepting that, like, flaws and all. I don't want to say flaws, but just like this is what's going on.
That's what's going on. And I think that I really started practicing body acceptance about 2 years ago because I was so big into body positivity, which I still am. I still do appreciate body positivity, which positivity is loving your bodies regardless of the size, shape, appearance, valuing health and functionality over just the appearance and everything. But I felt with the body positivity movement that I was actually lying to myself, and I felt so much guilt because I would be telling myself, like, I love my body. I love every single part of my body, and all my flaws are beautiful, and they're not flaws, and it's this and it's that. And it's just like, I felt like I was really lying to myself, but I felt like I was genuinely just not being fulfilled or fully happy with myself because in the inside, I was like, I freaking hate certain parts of my body. And then I would really be struggling with having to like those parts, and then also kind of competing with or battling the thoughts of like, why can I not like these parts? Like, are they that bad? I just can't like them. Do you know what I mean? So there was a lot of like internal conflict. And finally, when I got on to the whole body acceptance, it was like, no, you know what? You don't have to like X, Y, and Z about your body, but you still need to love yourself and respect yourself and respect your body and accept that this is just where you're at right now.
No, exactly. And that was the thing too. With me, I just felt like it wasn't realistic. You know what I mean? Because I feel like it is human nature to kind of pick yourself apart, especially in the world that we live in. And to me, as hard as I was like, oh, I like this, I love this, I love this, there was that voice inside my head. And I felt like, why am I doing this wrong? Like there's something wrong with me that I can't just be happy about it all the time. And it's like, no, because it's not realistic fully. You know what I mean? And I think it's great to give yourself affirmations and tell yourself great things about yourself. But also it is just accepting, it is being neutral about it. And I think that's much more realistic. And to know that there is going to be times where you are going to, have negative intrusive thoughts or things like that. And it's just, it doesn't make you bad. It doesn't make you less strong as other people, because other people, if they're lying, if they're telling you that they're 100% positive with themselves all the time.
Every single day. And I think that just being in a body sometimes, like there's sometimes like your mind can shift with your body. Like one day I could wake up and I could be feeling fabulous and on top of the world. And then the next day it's like, something might be affecting my mental health and my mood, and I might just be completely thrown off, and my perspective is completely different on myself. And I think that accepting even that is important, because it's like every day I might have a different opinion because I'm an emotional roller coaster. I'm not going to just be like linear all the time and how I'm feeling about myself.
Exactly. And another thing too is that body acceptance is not just about your appearance. It is also about your bodily function too. Like with me, with having fibromyalgia and like chronic pain and chronic fatigue and like having a lot of issues within my body and the swelling, like the inflammation, you know what I mean? Like last week, for some random reason, my body was swelling to a point where I had to take off all the bracelets because it was cutting off circulation. My shoes wouldn't fit, socks wouldn't fit on my feet. Like, it was crazy. And there's days where like I'm in excruciating pain. And instead of me just constantly hating my body, not just in the appearance, but also in the lack of function or the less functionality that I do have, I'm channeling this insane hatred towards myself because it's sore. It's weaker than it used to be, you know? And I think I had to learn that I just have to accept it. You know what I mean? Like, and unfortunately, I've seen a million doctors, and the doctors had to start being like, Kyle, you know what? You need to see a therapist to learn to accept that this is the reality. You know, I'm sorry to say, like, they said, like, you've seen every specialist possible. You've done every test. We've done everything. You need to learn to accept this is the reality.
This point is also like, what is being negative on yourself and hating yourself going to do to help your situation right now? At this very moment, like when you're having like one of your flare-ups or you're in that much excruciating pain, like your body needs the love and care that it can get from you in order for you to like thrive. Like it's only going to do you better, your body better, to take care of it during that time and nurture it rather than just hating on it. And do you know what I mean? Like just hating on it and treating it with hate, right? Like for myself right now, in terms of functionality, like my fertility is just, we are just little infertile myrtle right now. Like we don't know what's fully going on. And it's my endometriosis, another type of endometriosis. I can't pronounce it right, but basically my endoline thing, it grows into my uterus. Like it's a whole thing, as well as PCOS. Like there's all kinds of things right now. And when I found out about my infertility stuff, like I said, I was so angry, but now I've just had to accept, like, you know what? Like this is where your body's at right now. And outside of the things that like, you know, you can do for yourself, you can't control that. And I think that I'm completely like barren and I'm not going to have a child. No, I think that once my body can fix a couple of these things, I think I'll be fine. But I've had to accept that right now, like you're infertile, like you're not able to carry a child. And I think that I just have to accept that. Otherwise, I'm going to spiral and I'm going to go into a place of self-hate and I'm going to hate my body. And that is the last thing that it needs right now. Right now, she needs like all the love and care and nutrients and everything. Like if I want to help my fertility, I need to like love myself a little bit. You know what I mean? And not just by saying I love myself, but showing my body that like I care for it, like providing nutrients, you know, the medications, doing all the things that I can do for it right now.
No, exactly. And that's, and not that things are that simple, but that is one of those things sometimes where like people will struggle with fertility for so long. And then as soon as they like stop worrying about it, as soon as they stop stressing about it, they give up on it. They go on vacation. They're loving themselves. They're having a great time. Something happens. You know what I mean? And not that happens to everybody, but I'm just saying it is that like,
No, but
the act of hating it and the act of being so angry and stressed and concerned doesn't help the situation.
what? And I feel like that's also a big part of mine right now. And that's what my mom has said. She's like, you are so focused on it. And like, you have to know, like my mom had me at 16. So like, you know, she was like, you're so focused on it. And like, she's like, I know that once you just like get out of your head and your body isn't so tense thinking about it, you're not carrying that. She's like, you're going to be fine. So, but again, it's just accepting like, this is just where I'm at right now.
Yes. And I will always, and I told you a million times, obviously I do hair. I work in a career where I am around women a lot, and a lot of times successful women that's, you know, having kids in their 30s or not when they're in their early 20s. And I have been with so many women through fertility issues, and I have seen more success stories and more happy endings in ways that people didn't expect, you know? And I think, so I always try to like give you hope that like I've seen so many people go through the struggle and come out on the other end, you know, with the happy ending, and in a way that no one expected, but in a way that it happens.
No, we're staying positive.
Yeah, exactly.
This.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna go in on that. I feel so there's so many people out here having kids on drugs and doing terrible. I don't know. I'm gonna cry because like I'm just saying it sucks for people that have loving, great homes to provide, and there's people just having kids in prison and no one to raise them.
Not even wanting them.
Yeah. Which I'm being specific about my family, but not. Yeah. I don't know. I've talked about that.
Yeah. No. I know.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on to why is body positivity important. Stop. I love you.
Why am I crying about that?
I know. I love you. Stop.
I just mean that what I should clarify. What I mean, what I was getting at is that my family has taken in babies that their parents couldn't raise them, and for a lot of different reasons. And I've just been affected by it. And it makes me sad for people that struggle with it. Yeah. Okay. It was pretty clarified. Yes, I do love you. That's why. I love my boundary.
Told you I broke it down, bitch.
I should say that I switched my estrogen from pills to injections. So I am having like a hormonal functions, and I think we just had a hormonal moment.
We just had a hormonal moment, or maybe it was just like, you could also just admit it could have just been like a genuine moment to me.
Yeah.
Me.
No, it was a genuine moment, but it was kind of rambling and not being clear about why I just went there. Yeah, it's a good.
Go through it.
We're
hormones. So, why is it important to practice body acceptance?
Well, I think
it's.
Oh, go for it.
Being in the mindset of accepting, I think, is more freeing and easier to cope with. I think, rather than forcing yourself to feel a certain way.
Exactly.
So, it's important to just accept and, admitting to yourself, like, you know what, this really sucks. It sucks that my fertility is, whatever. It sucks that I am in chronic pain, and for, body image, it sucks, that I have these love handles I can't get rid of. Like, things like that. I genuinely just feel like it's so much easier just to come to terms with it. And it's so much freeing on your mind rather than just denying it and pushing it down and fighting it, and then having it just naturally turn into some sort of self-hatred.
Exactly.
Even recognizing it as.
Yeah, and the thing is that from experience, you can get down to, you could have your dream body and your dream health body, like everything could be perfect, and you were going to still tear yourself to pieces. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, there is this photo of me that I stumble upon occasionally, and I was in Mykonos and I was on vacation, and I was in the moment, I was thinking to myself, I remember being embarrassed to be in photos. I remember being so concerned about my body. I remember not having fun because I was so concerned about the way that I looked and my body. And I was starving myself. Like, my friends on this vacation had to force me to eat. And because I was just obsessed with it. And I just was and I look back at these photos, and actually I was too thin. I was too skinny. Now, when I look back at that, I'm like, you don't look healthy. But in that moment, I thought I was so fat, and I thought I was so appalling to people to look at. You know what I mean? And I remember never posting those photos or nothing. And I look back and I'm like, that is not what was going on. Your brain will always trick you into thinking that you're not enough. And so it doesn't matter where you are in that spectrum, your brain is always going to do the same thing. And so you have to learn to love yourself. And from experience, I think when your body has changed, fluctuated, you look back and you're like, wow, I really seen this completely different. This is completely like textbook dysphoria,
Yeah.
And one other thing I think too is that it can really hold you back in life. And I want to read some lyrics from one of the biggest scholars of our time, Charlie XCX, on the Brat album.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was this song on the album called Girl So Confusing. And it talks about girlhood and kind of the way the brain works a little bit. And then there was a remix with Lord. And so basically the song was about the relationship that Charlie had with Lord and how she thought that Lord was not wanting to hang out with her or something was wrong. And then Lord responded. They worked it out in the remix. That's what happened. They worked it out. It was always like, let's work it out in the remix. But no, but so anyway, so Lord's response was in the song, she said, you would always say, let's go out, but then I'd cancel last minute. I was so lost in my head and scared to be in your pictures because of the last couple of years, I've been at war with my body. I tried to starve myself thinner. And then, I hope this isn't going to get taken down off of YouTube, but then I gained all the way back. And it says, like, I was trapped in the hatred and your life is so awesome. So basically what she was saying is it wasn't that she didn't like Charlie. It was that she was afraid to be in the photos with her because she thought that she looked too fat or something, or she was going to look bad next to Charlie and she was going to like bring down their mode. And so it was all along. And this happens to you in life. And that's the one thing too, that when you're hating yourself like that, it can be so self-isolating because you start to isolate yourself because you don't feel like you don't want to be in the photos. You're afraid of what you're going to look like and all of these things. And you actually start to sabotage your relationships with other people because of that.
I definitely lived through that of going through periods where it's like, I don't want to go. I can't go out with these people right now. They're going to be doing this. They're going to be dressed like this. I can't dress like that right now because I don't feel good about myself. Nothing's fitting me. Nothing looks right on my body. All the girls are going to be wearing like X, Y, and Z. And it's like, that is just not where I'm at. And I've missed out on things. And I look back on photos at that time and I'm like, what were you thinking? Like, you were beautiful. You were stunning. You were, do you know what I mean? It's like, you could have taken those pictures. And I feel like I've missed out on different relationships. I've missed out on parties. I've missed out on events. I mean, like it really affected my self-worth. So hearing those lyrics really do resonate with me because it's like, just, I understand what it's like to be like, I can't go. I'm going to bring down the whole mood. Like I can't be in your photos.
Exactly. And I noticed too, like, even like my work party, you know what I mean? I remember thinking to myself, like, oh, I'm so scared to be in some of these photos looking, next to people. And I remember, God, I'm like strapped so far into a corset to like suck myself in so much because I knew that photos are coming. And I just going out, I feel like I don't hardly go out as much anymore because I've been kind of in that mindset a little bit. And there's a lot of other reasons why I haven't, but it is that thing of like a lot of my like club friends are, they all have like 8-packs. They're like in perfect shape. And I was always that like skinny friend with them, and I feel, and they love me just the same. Like it's no different, but I had to create this division in my head.
Yeah. And that's exhausting.
No, it really is. It really is.
And I feel like your relationship with your body is always going to be up and down for everybody. Like, again, like nothing is linear. And so I feel like you can have these moments where it's like, although I know everything about body acceptance and self-love and taking care of myself, it doesn't mean that I'm never going to have these moments where I'm doubting myself or not feeling good about myself, or like I still don't want to be in the picture. And I think that allowing yourself just to have those moments and recognizing them and being like, it's okay that you're feeling like that, like it's okay that you're feeling like that. It's okay. We just need to get through it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think to myself, like, I have been on photo shoots with these standards of beauty, like some of the most famous women in the world, some of the most famous models in the world that people are trying to emulate. And I have heard little things said, like, oh, let me move this a little bit because I don't, you know what I mean? Like, everybody has that voice in their head. And so it's like, just don't let that hold you back from that. And I can look at that and say that, like, I've seen this firsthand from people, but it's still hard. You know what I mean? Like, at the moment, I'm really struggling with it. Like, I'm in a phase where I'm really, really struggling with my body and accepting it. And I'm doing my best And I feel like I can give you so many examples and tell you all of the things that I tell myself and all of the stuff. But I still have periods where I really struggle with it. And I think that that's okay to acknowledge that you are struggling with it and that this is just part of human life. This is just part of
Your journey.
your journey and your existence. And there's there's things you can do. You can worry about, like, I got to take care of my body. I can't be like sad that like I feel this way and then try to sabotage myself some more, because that's not going to help the situation, and it's like going on to like the diet culture of it all and getting into that. That's not helpful. It's making healthier choices for yourself and about the journey of getting to a place of being healthier in your head and in your body.
And doing it not out of obligation, doing it because you genuinely want to take care of yourself. You know what I mean? Like, and then on the other hand, though, there's also that thing where it's like, oh, I don't want to lose weight. I just want to be healthy. And like, kind of not admitting to yourself that you want to lose weight. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not allowed to admit that. And I think that you should admit if you want to lose the weight, and it's okay if you want to change your body as long as you're doing it in a healthy way. But you don't need to make eating healthy and being healthy all about weight loss.
No, exactly. And that's something that I think that everything happens for a reason sometimes. And I really struggle with like, why do I have these like chronic pain issues and chronic health issues? And sometimes I feel like it is the way of the universe pushing me to be as healthy as possible and not in a lose weight kind of way. Because I did that for over a decade and I maintained a very thin body, but I was not kind to myself and I was not healthy, so I think it is this way of pushing me to be healthy for the sake of loving myself and to move my body more. And not that things happen for punishment, but I'm just saying, like, I think it is in a way to push me to be healthy for the sake of loving myself and the sake of living and enjoying life in a better quality.
Yeah.
If all makes sense.
No, it does make sense. I agree with that. I feel like things happen for a reason. I feel like, like with my fertility, I've had those thoughts where it's just like, how come people who don't even want kids have them and I can't have one? And I know that I would give a baby the most beautiful life that I could. But I know that it's happening for whatever reason that I can't control. Maybe it's because I'm going to come face to face with like a huge career milestone that I couldn't have done. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking of all the positive things and I'm trying to put a positive spin on it. And I know that it's happening for a reason. And it could just be like, because there's things internally that I need to take care of in general and not just for the sake of fertility. Exactly. So I think it's good and every day to find ways to practice body acceptance or different ways to just take care of yourself. So one of the ways that I have is positive self-talk. And I'm also not saying not to do this. I'm not saying look in the mirror and tell yourself you're beautiful and say this and say that, because obviously do that. I love to do that. Like when I'm feeling good and I'm looking good, or when I'm having a bad day and it looks like I've got like punched out in the eyes, I'm always just like, you look good, like you're fine. But I'm meaning the positive self-talk that can also just be like, look, this is really shitty right now, but you can handle this. You've got this. You need to get through your day. You need to get through the night. And then if you want to cry at the end of the day, you can cry. But right now, we just have to get through it. You know what I mean? And I feel like giving yourself sometimes a positive pep talk, admitting and acknowledging how you're really feeling. Like, you feel like shit right now. You don't want to go to this party. But if you don't go to this party, you're going to have FOMO. You're going to regret it and whatever. So I think that there's like an honest way that you can do positive self-talk.
Exactly. And I made a list of like affirmations that you could tell yourself. And I think you could be like, this is my body. I accept my body just how it is. My body deserves respect. I release judgment toward my body. My body is healing. My body is innocent. I am more than my body. And I am grateful to have a body.
No, I think those are important. And actually, saw in this interview with Ashley Graham that she actually records all of her positive self-affirmations on her phone and plays them back. And that really stuck with me because I was like, wait a second, you hear yourself saying it, you hear it coming from you. And I feel like it's just more impactful that way. So even if you record some positive self-affirmations about your body or whatever, and while you're putting your makeup on or while you're doing whatever, if you're just having a bad moment, like you can play them and you're literally comforting yourself. And I think it's important to do self-affirmation, like positive affirmation.
Exactly. You can say them in a very wise, mature way.
Yes, get real with it. Another one that I had was doing physical activities that you enjoy, not just for the sake of wanting to lose weight or making it about changing your body. I think that body movement is so important in our everyday. And I think that finding activities that you enjoy, that you're doing for your mental health, that you're doing just to get out of the house, you're doing just to move your body and to have a good time, I think it's really important. And eliminating every time that, like eliminating the idea of I'm doing this to lose weight every single time that we move our body. Like if you want to go for 10 bike rides in a week, you don't need to make it about losing weight. You can make it about, hey, I really enjoy riding my bike and I want to take some me time. And I feel like once you switch that narrative and you get into a place of just, I'm doing this for me, I'm doing this to feel good, I'm doing this for my mental health, it's easier for me anyways. It allowed me to be more consistent and to not put this pressure of like, fuck, I gotta go work out because I want to lose like 5 pounds and like, I want to look good in this and I want to do that. And it sucks. Like working out like that sometimes sucks.
Yeah.
But I love being active.
Yes, exactly. And, I was talking to somebody this week and she was telling me, she's like, oh, I go to this coffee shop and every morning for coffee. And I was like, oh, that's great. And she's like, yeah, because I love this particular coffee shop. They have really high quality coffee and I want to treat myself to that because I deserve it. And she was saying that she walks there. And it's this way, it's like ritual of like every day she gets up and she goes on a beautiful walk. And she's like, it's calming. It calms the noise. Before I get to the emails, before I get to the chaos, I hear the birds chirping. It's early. And she's like, it's great for my mind. And then I go and get this like great high quality coffee that I'm treating myself with. And then I walk home before I start the day. And it was this way of like her getting her exercise, but it wasn't about the exercise. It wasn't about the losing weight. It was about what was, this whole thing of starting her day off on a positive note. But just happened to be walking 3 miles before she started her day.
Luxurious.
It is luxurious.
Luxurious. The way that she's describing it is like, oh, listening to the birds chirping before I answer my emails. Like it sounds very luxurious.
Exactly.
That.
Exactly. And that's why with my garden too, the garden is a lot of physical activity. It really is. And so I'm trying to get into the habit and the routine of getting up first thing in the morning, like early, and going to the garden before I start my day. Because one, it just is more practical to go get the garden work done first thing in the morning before the chaos of the day begins. But also it is getting that exercise and getting that like, running up and down the hill at the garden, not running, but like actually like carrying supplies up or going back and forth and around the garden. And it's beautiful. It's calming. It's all of these things. It's growing healthy, nutritious, organic food to feed my body with. But it's also me moving my body and getting a little exercise in while I'm doing something that I like to do.
Okay.
And so that's a great way to like phrase it.
Another one that I had is consume body neutral content. So we are all guilty of scrolling. And I think that really curating a place where it's like positive content for you, like be aware of your triggers online. Like if seeing certain things automatically puts a negative thought in your head, you need to exile it. And even if, it's something that maybe you want to see, you need to really recognize is this good for me to see right now? Is this triggering me? Because I know that there have been so many times where I have been feeling great, and then I go online and I see something, and all of a sudden it can trigger something in me, and I'm like, I am nothing.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to watch your social media intake, and remembering that things on social media aren't real. Like, it's not real. Like, there are filters. There are ways that people can change their bodies. There are ways that people can change anything and curate the most perfect life on social media. So you really just need to be mindful of that, and knowing, like, it's the same as looking in a magazine. Everything's edited. Like, sometimes I see edited photos of myself and I'm like, God, I wish just that. Because you look like that, like, but just be careful of what you're consuming.
Exactly. And I think one thing too with, my people out here with the chronic health issues and the chronic pains and stuff like that and other health issues, focus on what your body does allow you to do. Because
great
you don't take for what you can still do for granted. Focus on what your body can still do and what it, that's a positive way of looking at it. And also when it comes to like eating, because if you do have chronic health issues, you do need to be focused on what you're eating. And it doesn't have to be in a way of can't have this or I can't have this. Think of this apple and think of how many nutritions are like compound, whatever, in this apple. Do you know what I mean? Like, think of the vitamins that I'm getting for this. Like, this is nutritious, organic, great food that's going to replenish my body, and it's going to give me energy. It's going to give me life, like focus on what you can eat and the ways that food could positively affect your body and your health. And it doesn't have to be this, I can't have this or I can't have this. Focus on what you can have and what that can do for you.
And also focusing on not feeling guilty if you aren't always making a healthy choice. Like, if you're going to the movie theater and you're eating like an extra large bag of popcorn and having some treats, and it's just like, yeah, I'm lucky that I get to eat like this. Like, I'm thankful that this food is around me where I can actually eat it, and not feeling guilty because you need to treat yourself. Sometimes that food is the most comforting food, especially if you're someone like me, and it's just like, no, I just need chocolate. I just need to have like a little piece of chocolate and not feeling guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think, referencing back to our last week's episode of boundaries, I think it's important to set boundaries with conversations that you're in, maybe being around certain people. I know that being around certain people for me can be very triggering, especially if they are very unaware of how negative they speak about their own bodies, or even if they are aware, they're like making references all the time of just like how they don't like the way that they look, or they're making judgments on other people. There's nothing worse than being around like such a tiny, 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 tiny person, and they're like, oh my God, I feel like shit. I'm so fat. I'm so blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what do you think of me?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I used to be really offended by it, but now it's just like, that's their own relationship that they have with themselves and their body image and body image itself. So now, rather than like taking it as a personal attack, I almost just take it as, I hope that they can get to a better place.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll be around people that like weigh as much as my thigh, and they're like, I'm so fat. And I'm like, okay.
If I just watched you weigh yourself and I just gained like 10 pounds, like my vagina wouldn't even fit into those pants that you're wearing. Like, we're not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And ending on, I think sometimes too, I can't, the comments on YouTube about me are always calling me like Gorlock or something.
I'm like, I can't. I just want to end with the point of like being your own best friend. And next time that you are having a moment, this really helps me. Next time you're having a moment where you just put a dress on and you feel like shit and you hate how you look, really think like, well, what would you say to your best friend in that situation? If she came out and you saw her and you're like, wow, she looks beautiful, what would you say to compliment her or to reassure her? And also, how would it make you feel if you saw your best friend saying those harsh things about herself? Because I know for me, when my best friends say bad things about themselves, I'm like hurt. I'm like, are you serious? Like, I wish that you could just see how I see you. Or I wish you could see how beautiful you are. And really think of it from the perspective of like speaking to your best friend and being your own best friend and being kind to yourself in that way, because you're alone with yourself so often. And, sometimes you have to be your own motivator. So really just think of what you would say to your best friend in these moments.
Exactly. Yes. And those are the wise words from Miss Kris Yo.
Yes. Be your own best friend, bitch.